Part 61. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 602. 603 Treasures. More than 1,000 points yesterday, 4 more today, thank you friends. This is a problem. Yekong could not help but frown, and to be honest, he hadn't figured it out yet. Of course it's a question, otherwise I'll ask you. Cao Junfan gave Yekong a white look and pulled the rope in his hand, and said, I just want to see that you are very feminine, so I asked you this love expert, and wanted to see you. What's your opinion? Yekong thought about it and said, in fact, in my hometown, there is a woman named Zhang Ailing, who once said a word. She said that friendship between the opposite is difficult to last. If you can travel through time and space, for many years it still exists, that is often beyond the scope of friendship. Cao Junfan asked, what does she mean? Is that there is no real friendship between men and women? If it can be maintained for many years, then there must be love or a relationship. Yekong nodded, at least one party will be interesting to the other. Although it is friendship, in fact, there is still an element of admiration, and it is not as pure as same-sex friends. Cao Junfan thought about it again, and then nodded, it makes a little sense, but I asked you, but didn't ask Zhang Ailing, what do you think? I think so too, there is no real friendship. Yekong looked around and whispered, actually, before I was a fairy, my profession was a hooligan. Well, you know what a hooligan means. Do you think a hooligan will talk to a woman about friendship? Cao Junfan laughed, this is also true. Cao Junfan's smile was a little weird. Yekong suddenly felt that he had fallen into the trap of some people. How did your boy think about this? Cao Junfan laughed, since the brothers, you say that there is no real friendship between men and women, then what kind of good friends do you and Wang Tingxi belong to? Yekong was furious, your kid wants to be beaten, isn't it? I thought which girl you liked and wanted to give you some encouragement. I didn't expect your kid to give me a kid, it's too authentic. To be honest, Cao Junfan was really a little afraid of Yekong's anger, and quickly laughed, don't be anxious, in fact, I'm kind to remind you, don't you feel that Sister Cucumber has been uneasy recently? Yekong hadn't felt anything at all, but was reminded by Cao Junfan, and it became clear. Yeah, I talked to her recently, she was a little ignorant, and I was still thinking about what kind of temper she would use. If you really value her, you should tell her before revealing your secrets to everyone. It's not a love expert, cut. Cao Junfan took a sip and moved to the front of the team. Your ancestors are stingy, the love expert is what you said. Yekong yelled innocently, and then he bowed his head and thought. Yeah, Cao Junfan said the same thing. He should have made a statement to Huang Zixuan first. She hadn't given any explicit hints to her before. Everyone knew that she did have an idea. It seems that I should find a place, and she talked alone. When Yekong wanted to find an opportunity to talk about Huang Zixuan's ideal life, he suddenly saw the oblique rear, a flash of soaring light, and the brightness was so clear in the daytime. There are strange treasures born, generally speaking, Tiancatabeo always grows there, some years are long, others are shallow, but Yekong and others come all the way, those guys are like hungry wolves, regardless of the year, all dug up. The other kind of treasures has to pay attention to the year. For example, there is a kind of spirit grass called the night owl flower. This thing matures every millennium. It is best to pick it up with metal utensils at the moment when the flower opens. If you pick it in advance, it will not work at all. If you do not pick it in time, it will wither. So it must be picked at the moment it is opened. At the moment when this kind of heaven and earth treasure reaches maturity, it always produces a vision. The so-called natural vision, Lingbao was born. This is what Yekong saw. Yekong saw it, others saw it, and everyone rushed over. However, Yekong walked last. he was the closest, so he went fastest. For others, either holding a treasure hunt rat or holding a treasure hunt map, this is a step slower. When I came to the place where the light came into my eyes, there was a swamp. There was a dry ground in the center of the swamp. On the ground, a white flower was blooming on a section of white dry wood. That white light was emitted by the sky. This flower is very singular, its petals are like the same small needles, and they are as thin as hair, and each root is 3 inches long. Yekong stopped and stood outside the swamp. After dying, everyone who came after them also followed Yekong standing outside the swamp. For so many days of treasure hunting, everyone had established rules to avoid fighting. For a treasure, whoever comes first obviously, that belongs to whom. Although this is a good thing, everyone wants it, but after all, Yekong arrived first, and Yekong saved them more than once along the way, and he did not grab treasures from everyone. Everyone has a steelyard in their hearts. No one is convinced by anyone who takes such a good thing. Only Yekong takes it, and everyone is convinced. So everyone stopped and waited for Yekong to pick it up. Chen Yu from the 7-star sect laughed, "Lord Zone, this is a good thing. Refining a peculiar elixir called Zhuan Huandan, even the dead can be saved." Yekong nodded and just wanted to fly over. But someone is faster than him. I saw 2 white shadows pounce straight on. A white shadow in front of them scooped the mandala flower and quickly stuffed it into a storage bag, while a white shadow in the back was guarded by a weapon in hand. These 2 people are really Li Zhaohong and Xianxia of Sword Dock. Their actions not only annoyed Yekong, but everyone was annoyed. These 2 people are so bad. Everyone made it clear that they would give this thing to Yekong. What are you robbing? If it's robbing, who can you rob? The female repairman Zhang Shui saw the anger of everyone and knew that it was unwise to offend everyone. She quickly put away the implement and smiled at Yekong. "Zhong Li is the master of a suicide, so I don't care about these little treasures. It was up to our husbands and wives to collect it first. After that, when the 9 transfers were refined, the spirits would be refined and they would send one to mix UN sect." Even though she said that, she was thinking in her heart, "Who will know you when I go back, give it to you, dream. You took the entire Hong Huang ancient beast, and you didn't share it with us?" Although she thought so, she was polite on the surface. And her man, Li Zhaohong, was dismissive, humming, "The rules have been set. Whoever grabs it is who. Whoever grabs this thing should be ours. Huh. Blame yourself if you want to blame slow shots, we don't owe anyone." Unexpectedly, Yekong laughed and laughed, "Whoever grabs first is the right one. But, I suddenly remembered a sentence, a senior told me before I left, and I will tell you now. When the mountain retreats, the water goes upstream, and when it encounters the treasure, it is shot." The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 603. Provoking. The 2 standing in the swamp were both stunned. Li Zhaohong asked, "What do you mean?" But it didn't take him to understand. Just listening to the buzzing sound, suddenly a lot of golden ants were drilled out in the swamp, and they swarmed out like a golden cloud, and then swallowed Li Zhaohong and Zheng Shui. "Help! Save us!" the 2 men shouted in the ant colony, desperately trying to drive away the ants, chopping them with a flying sword, and burning them with fire, but to no avail. These are the gold-winged ants, and there is a large group in Yekong's bag. He smiled lightly, "Remind the 2 of them again that this kind of flying ants are very powerful, ordinary fires will not die, at least it must be the flame of Master Dan. Of course, I also have 2 kinds of strange fires that can destroy them." In the ant colony, Li Zhaohong, who had been stunned with all eyes, listened to this sentence, saw the hope of life, and shouted out loudly, "Lord Zone, save your life. Please, save us. We don't want any flowers. If you want to blame, blame you for your quick shot, I don't owe anyone. Ye Kong snorted coldly, and returned Li Ziyahong's words intact. Seeing the screams and sorrows of the two people, Huang Zixuan could not bear it any more and said, "You can save them and save them. I believe that after a lesson, they will change the former." Ye Kong shook his head. "I have seen too many people who have no humanity and no conscience, and he will never be human. For this kind of person, only let him destroy, do not destroy him, sooner or later destroy yourself. It seems you do. Nt I have heard the story of Mr. Dongguo and the wolf, and I will tell you later. These two people really committed anger, and no one else pleaded for them, even Wang Huan, an enthusiastic reader who on Sai guest show, who led the sword, said, these two people are not worthy of sympathy. Forgive me, regardless of morality, Man Luahua will be able to stab us for treasure next time. I am ashamed to have such a person in sword dock." In the eyes of everyone, the two were quickly left without by the golden-winged ants. Those golden-winged ants were so powerful that they even ate goblin in their storage bags. Everyone wondered, what kind of worms are these? How amazing! And Wang Huan said apologetically, "Master Li, I'm so sorry, that Man Luahua should belong to you, and it has been eaten now." Ye Kong laughed. "Anyway, in fact, I really don't care about the mandala flower. I would like to thank them for taking the trouble for me. Thinking about shooting after encountering the treasure is really reasonable. Most people think that it is better to start first, and who can say something when they encounter a treasure?" Lin Tianwu stepped forward and said, "This is the Supreme Master. Is it because he has been to Kangbei before?" Ye Kong thought of Wu I do Nt no, and sighed, "He is indeed an expert, but God made people die. It didn't take long for him to explain my words, but he fell, but I must avenge him one day." Everyone heard that the man was dead, shook his head and sighed. The danger on the road to Xianxia was so high that even the most powerful masters would fall into the cliffs of millions of people by accident and never turn over forever. The Lingbao was destroyed and the ants were fierce. The crowd didn't want to stop anymore. Just when they were leaving, they saw someone sacrificing flying across the swamp to the open space in the middle. "Be careful," the girls shouted in unison. The crowd was all baffled, and Lingbao was gone. "What are you going to do? When you encounter a treasure, you do Nt have to do it." Ye Kong flew to the top of the open space, and flung Yuzhuo's sword in his hand, turning the sword into a rope, entangled with the white deadwood under the mandala flower, shaking his hand and pulling it up. When I saw the white wood, the leaf surface was happy, and I quickly put it in the storage bag. People outside waited to see him put away a piece of dead wood, all inexplicable. The smelters were all insiders, and someone immediately shouted, "It looks like a dead tree, and its color is like a white wall. Could it be the long-lost sunken wood?" Although Shenmue hasn't seen it, everyone has heard of it. When they heard the clan masters shout, they couldn't help but sigh, "This spirit treasure seems to have to be taken by someone with fate. Cut the dead wood, even if I put it in front of me, I can't see it as a treasure." However, everyone was worried. Will Ye Kong be besieged by so many golden-winged ants? Even Ye Kong also prepared water and fire gourds, wanting to kill ants. But to everyone's surprise, the golden-winged ants did not appear. It seems that those guys only value the mandala flower and do not pay much attention to other things. Everyone is relieved. "Well, let's hurry, the treasure is in hand, hurry up, those gold-winged ants are really terrifying." But something that made everyone more surprised happened. A black man got sinking wood and didn't even want to leave. Instead, he threw out a flying fish sword and blasted the swamp into mud. Everyone was shocked. "You said you took the treasure and left. The gold-wing ants did not recruit you. Instead, you proactively provoked the gold-wing ants. You are full and support, or do you think you live too long? Is it? Aren't you sick? Hey brother, what are you doing?" Huang Zixuan shouted and wanted to fly over. But as soon as she flew up, she felt a woman's voice sound in her ear. "Don't go, believe him, he won't do anything unsure." Huang Zixuan stopped in the air and turned to look at the woman in white with a smile, like a spring breeze. "It's Lian Ruolan. Does she trust him so much? Believe that he will succeed, believe that he will not be troubleless, absolute trust, and silently support. But when I worry about him, it means that I value him." Huang Zixuan thought to himself, stepped back, and looked at Lian Ruolan, not knowing what he was thinking. Ye Kong is certainly not okay. He took the initiative to trouble the ants, which was indeed purposeful. The golden-winged ants just now are fat and strong. A pair of wings are golden and bright. They are smoother and smoother than the golden-winged ants raised in Ye Kongling's beast bag. Obviously, there are hard things under this swamp. In the world, it's not only men's things that are as hard as possible. Many materials are as hard as possible. It's like Wujin. Ye Kong believes that these golden-winged ants must have stung something good. As soon as the swamp was attacked, those gold-winged ants really got fired. "NND, hit the door, we fight with you." A buzzing sounded in everyone's ears. I saw twice as many gold-winged ants flying out of the swamp. These guys snapped their hard mouthparts and vowed to keep this eye out. There is nothing left of the guy. When monks of all factions saw so many gold-winged ants, they could not help but took a breath and took a step back. Just now, the tragic situation of Li Zhaohong and Zheng Shui is still in front of them, and they are eaten a little bit by ants alive, thinking about scalp tingling. They believed that if they encountered this group of gold-winged ants, they would be dead. But I heard Ye Kong said that he has two kinds of strange fires to deal with this kind of fierce ants. Is this true? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 604. 65 Amazing Treasures. Of course it's true. Ye Kong could have used the magic spell of Samadhi, but now there is a cold fire in Kangbei, it's more convenient. Ye Kong carried a water and fire gourd, just like a machine gun. The white tongue of fire burst out, and the rolling cold quickly spread out. The overbearing golden-winged ant was now just as vulnerable as an ordinary ant. The fire tongue burned and turned into a plume of clear smoke. Another ancient treasure. This is the cold fire in Kangbei. Everyone was surprised again. I don't know how this kid has so many fun things, and I don't understand. When did he catch the cold fire in Kangbei? Why didn't we find it? Looking at everyone's eyes gazing, Lian Ruolan's heart surged in pride. He is a miracle. He has been creating miracles. The foundation of the 5 elements is to kill the enemy and become the suzerain. He could easily solve it. Where does he come from, and how amazing is the place he called his hometown? There was a layer of curiosity in Lian Ruolan's beautiful eyes. Like Lian Ruolan, Wang Tingshi did not make a fuss. For someone's bazaar, she has become accustomed to it. Of course, whoever sees Ye Kong killing the immortal will not be surprised that he kills the ant at this moment. Suddenly, Wang Tingshi and Lian Ruolan met their eyes. She was a little ignorant. She didn't know Ye Kong's identity, nor did she know the story of Ye Kong and Lian Ruolan, but she could see that the relationship between the two was not ordinary. But Wang Tingshi didn't guilty. What happened? Even if you are his companion, I am not nervous, because I and he are just good friends. Although thinking about it, Wang Tingshi has some confections. He is really just a good friend. He just wants to be a good friend. Alas, it's complicated. Not to mention them, say Ye Kong, after destroying most of the gold-winged ants, they began to hit the swamp with sword light. The mud and water splashed for a while, but the effect was not significant. The mud and water splashed back quickly. The swamp was still swamp and could not be exposed. The swamp was dirty and muddy, and he did not want to leave Ye empty, But how can he empty the swamp? This is the leader of Qingming came over and said that they have a plant that absorbs water very well. It is better to plant this plant and promote its growth. When the swamp dries, it will be easier to dig. Yekong was overjoyed, so that the monks in Qingming sprinkled the seeds. In a short amount of time, a green and fat plant grew out. After the dense method of Qingming and a large amount of spiritual stone powder was sprayed, the plants began to bear fruit. The fruit is a huge green pumpkin, which grows bigger and bigger. Monk Qingming picked one and threw it from afar. The pumpkin was smashed, and a lot of water poured out in the middle. Dare to put a belly of water here. The leader of Qingming laughed. This thing is called watermelon. This is a necessary thing for mortal caravans to pass through the desert. If the situation is critical and the water cannot be found, it will be planted and matured by dense law. Even if in dry deserts, they can also pull out a certain amount of water, and they are clean, non-toxic, and straightforward to drink. Yekong nodded. This is a good thing. Yu Qingming has a lot of research on plants. After this time, hundreds of watermelon were cut and thrown away, and hundreds of them were produced. After just one stubble cutting and one stubble throwing, I saw that the swamp became clay, and then it became, after drying the soil, it finally cracked into pieces. At this time, the goal was achieved. Everyone sacrificed swords, cut large pieces of ground and watermelon on the ground, and discarded them slowly. Finally, at the bottom of the swamp, everyone's eyes were green. I saw countless top-quality spirits buried in the soil, countless storage rings, countless superb magic instruments, countless extinct treasures of heaven and earth. I scented, even the calm Lin Tianwu couldn't restrain the excitement at this moment. There were too many treasures below, too many to count, too much to get. What you want? A greedy light was shot in the eyes of everyone, and only when Yekong ordered it, everyone rushed down like a hungry tiger. Huang Zixuan said excitedly, "Hey brother, you are so good. How do you know that there is a treasure underneath?" "I don't know that there is a treasure underneath. I didn't come to find the treasure." Yekong was also a little dreadful. With so many good things, the brain would be slow for anyone. But Yekong's words reminded himself. "Yeah, I'm not here to find treasure. I'm here to find the golden-winged queen and hard materials. Why didn't the thing I was looking for come up with so many treasures?" Yekong's eyes were clear. "Everyone, calm down, this is a magical array." "Ah," everyone opened his mouth in disbelief. If it was a fantasy formation, would this be too real? Qi Xingzong's self-sustaining game has some research. Chen Yu shook his head. "It's impossible. Who in the world can make the magic array so real? How do I think it is true?" Tiandao mentioned how also said, "Is it true? Just pick a few and see." Yekong was initially dissatisfied with him. Sneer, "Then you pick it down." The history of Li Zhaohong and others is inside. Listen to Yekong, who is willing to go down. You all look at me, I look at you, no one wants to go down, everyone stares at the treasure below. For a while, no one went down. One of the 5 disciples of the mixed Yuan zone suddenly walked out. "Sovereign, it is not a problem for everyone to look at it this way. Disciples are willing to act like dogs and horses. If they are buried here, they are also asked to bring the disciples' bodies back. Other disciples died when they died, but the Yuan zone himself was scarce." Yekong shook his head and said, "No, just go and watch." Yekong waved back his hands and raised his hand to take out the sibling essence. This guy's sensitivity to the spirit stone is beyond imagination. If it is true below, he must pounce like crazy. However, 11 Jing bounced on the ground, but he never went on, as if he couldn't see the large spiritual stones below. Then Yekong took out a piece of spirit stone and threw it out far away, and Ziliang Jing immediately shot it out, wrapped it around, and bounced back. "What is this?" someone whispered to the disciple of disciples. Even the well-known disciple of Zhang shook his head. I don't know. The man asked again, do you say it is a plant, an animal, or a treasure? The disciple only smiled bitterly. Zhongli is a man of God and his means are all over the sky. Can I wait to know? At this time, Yekong said, you all see it? My treasure has a paranoid pursuit of the spirit stone. A low-quality spiritual stone can excite it, but there are so many high-quality spiritual stones below it. Can't explain the problem yet? Then there were people who didn't believe it, and they threw out the spirit stones, and 11 Lei jumped up and down and ate a piece of spirit stones into his belly. No one believes it anymore. It seems that there is a magic circle below, saying maybe there are dangers. But what can the setter hide if he can set such a real illusion? Everyone is full of expectations. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 605. 66. In this fantasy array, there must be treasures. Qi Xingzong Chenyu's gaze was real. Yes, let's break the battlefield. With Yekong's consent, the refiner zone took out the energy cannons again. When dealing with the male and female beasts, the energy cannons were smashed several times, and now there are 4. 4 cannons blasted at the magical array, splashing the spirit stone implements, but no one picked them. Now that they knew it was a magical array, no one was willing to take risks, but they kept sighing. If these are really good. This magic array was very strong. It wasn't until the evening that I saw it start to sway, and those spirits and treasures began to flash, and then disappeared and appeared. At this point, everyone has been completely disappointed with these treasures. It is indeed a fantasy formation. Fen Yunyu, leader of the refiner sect, roared, everyone puts more effort, this fantasy array will not be able to support it. The monks of all factions found that this was really just an illusionary array. One by one was also annoyed in their hearts. They all sacrificed magic spells and blasted into the illusionary array. Soon, there was a flash of ghost in front of everyone's eyes, disappearing invisible, and all the items shining with treasure light disappeared into the air. Everyone looked intently, and saw the stones in the pit. Among the stones, there is a huge blue bull stone with a phantom array on the stones. What attracts everyone the most is a turquoise moon bud-shaped jade pendant quietly placed on the green bull stone. Gu Bao, someone finally called out, and everyone's hard work didn't dry up, and finally saw the treasure. The real person of Kixing Zong Chen Yu laughed, it's a real fantasy, I was almost blinded, but now that I've found a treasure, unfortunately, there is only one. As soon as this word was spoken, everyone's excitement dissipated and they began to watch each other. The so-called common problems are easy, and sharing is difficult. Before everyone cooperated with each other, there was only one treasure, and the atmosphere of unity just dissipated immediately. Everyone looked at Yekong, waiting for him to speak. Although the most contrived is the refiner sect, but there is no Yekong, and everyone cannot find it. But you have at least 2 ancient treasures in Yekong. Can't you take this away? Lian Rulan and others are ready. Of course, they want Yekong to get it. If Yekong makes a speech and kills irrelevant people, they will immediately shoot. Feeling the murderous sentiments of the mixed Yuanzong, Yunfuzong, Linjiashan, and dead Yunzong, the other cases are also alert. This is Gubeo. With so many visits to Kangnan, Gubeo has few. For an ancient treasure, the ancestors of Yuanying can desperately. It's worth it? Everyone was watching Yekong, waiting for him to make a decision. Who knew that someone raised his head and smiled at everyone, why are you looking at me? Those who want Gubao, just take it down. Although he said this, everyone was even more afraid to move. The more they smiled, the more problematic he was. He was not a generous person or a kind person. He knew about Li Zhaohong before. Yun Fuzong Lin Tianwu came out and smiled, the old man here is the oldest. The old man is not interested in any ancient treasures. The old man is most interested in the elixir that can prolong life. Can you listen to the old man? Lin Tianwu made a joke to ease the tension, and then he laughed. I see ANTC Li Zong taking up Gu Bao first. Let us see what it is, and then think about it. How? Everyone was a bit unhappy. What if Yekong took it? But dare not let them go down. Yekong's attitude made it clear that this ancient treasure was not good. Who wants to be the second Li Zhaohong? Everyone thinks that, only nodding. Even if Yekong can get it, it is better than others. But at this moment, Yekong coldly reached a conclusion that everyone couldn't believe. This is still a magical array. When this word came out, almost everyone fainted. How can it be? The eyes of the previous magic formation are all there. How could this be a magic formation again? In fact, if Yekong was not looking for this thing, he might be blinded. Seeing Gu Bao, his heart was also moved. But he asked himself, did you come down to find Gu Bao? No. I came down to find the hard material and the golden-winged queen. There is no hard material here. There are no golden-winged queens. This is obviously wrong. Keep giving me a boom. Yekong stood with his hand to his side. With the bombardment of the energy cannon, all the rocks in the big pit were blown up and crushed, and the ancient treasure was bouncing inside. Seeing everyone distressed, if the real ancient treasure is destroyed, then you really have to regret it. This layer of magical arrays is stronger than the previous one. From the evening to the middle of the night, the spirit stones of the alchemist sect and others are almost exhausted. Dang! Dang! Really a fantasy. A group of meditating monks hurried to see it, and sure enough they saw the space under the big pit shaking, and it seemed that this was indeed a magical array. This time everyone looked at Yekong, and that was looking up. If it is a layer of magic array, Yekong has the magical spirit stone treasure to verify, and the second layer of magic array is all determined by himself. Even more frightening is that when facing Gu Bao, he still had calm thinking and analysis. Cao Junfen couldn't help asking, I said the sunspot, how can you see it? I can't see it. Could your eyes be a magic weapon? Why? You want to dig into my eyes? Actually, I don't see it. Sometimes my eyes will deceive your brain, and they will analyze. Boom, the second layer of magic array burst. What appeared before everyone this time was an empty flat ground. A purple-black cover on the ground was similar to the manhole cover on the earth. Next to the cover, there was a large white worm. No one was surprised this time, and no one shouted. If Yekong said that this was also a fantasy formation, everyone would definitely want it or not, and continue to bombard. But Yekong went down, looked down at the purple manhole cover, and saw that there were dense holes in the cover. Yekongli is overjoyed, and it is the main material of the Zeolai sword in a 5-element sword formation. Zeu. Shenbiwi's golden sword material is ready. Zeolai sword gets the first material. This day is the biggest day for Yekong's harvest. Can't you please? Everyone saw Yekong down, and they followed, and someone watched the white worm move. Knowing that the fierce ant is born of this worm, if it is used for its own purposes, it is really a good thing. But how can Yekong give this thing? I already have a gold queen, and all other gold wing queens will die. Yekong said nothing. When the small sword weapon in his hand moved, several sword-like sword lights shot out. Alas, the queen was immediately unloaded by 8 pieces, and could not die anymore. These worms should be extinct, added someone after he had killed them. The person who wanted only had big eyes and small eyes, and he hated himself why he didn't say it earlier. Now he killed all of them. What else? To the reader. It will erupt tomorrow. Brick, recommendation tickets, collections are all collected. The computer website is where everyone comes to register and vote for recommendations. Xiaoman wants to support it. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 606. 6007 Underground City. Today's 8 chapters, 7 chapters broke out, plus a chapter of the Dragon and Phoenix list of 1000, a total of 8 chapters. Thank you friends for your support. Lianji Zong and others are looking at the black-purple lid. Others don't know. They know that it is the innate material Ziu. We banged for a long time, so take this piece of purple jade. Well, it's best to take it when people don't pay attention. But who knows, someone lifted the lid of the purple jade and said, 2 layers of magic array, there must be good things below. Everyone goes down to find treasure. After that, throw the purple jade lid into the storage ring. People such as Li and Jizong looked at each other and knew in their hearts that this blackbird had also seen it, so forget it. After all, there is hope for Debao below, you won't swallow it all. Yekong is also looking forward to the bottom. How luxurious is it to use a purple jade as a lid? Maybe there is something better below. As soon as the cover was uncovered, everyone looked down, and something that surprised everyone happened, and it turned out to be a city. Everyone was surprised, and no one dared to go down. They all asked, why is there a city underground? Is it a fantasy? Yekong shook his head. Not only is the illusion set to a high depth, but it is also calculated, so the more normal, the more abnormal, the more abnormal, but normal. When Yekong finished speaking, he threw out his flying sword and jumped down. The world below is skyless and moonless, and the sky is the ground above, but in the city, it is decorated with many lights and lights the whole city. The streets in the city are staggered, houses are lined, and there are various ancient trees to decorate it, as if you have come to a secular town. But no one was seen. Underground city? There are 2 layers of magic arrays outside. Who built it here? Why is there no one? Everyone landed with various questions. Standing on the street, you can feel that the street is very wide, the streets on both sides are well organized, and there is a bright place in the distance, just at the end of the road. Although splendid here, but the shadow is missing, the needle is audible, it feels weird, and everyone gathers in the middle. These floor tiles, these houses, are Ziu and Wujin. Finally, a disciple of the alchemy sect was shocked and everyone noticed that the floor tiles and the houses on the ground were made of purple jade. And Wujin forged. Not only that, each of those floor tiles is engraved with profound runes, and I do not know what the formation method is. I do not want to be ordinary. So much. Why are you still shouting? Dig. Dig hard, someone shouted, and someone immediately took out the weapon. The disciples of the practitioners laughed. Yekong had taken the purple jade lid. They were still very upset. Now it seems that there is no need to worry about it, just dig it. But Ziu and Wujin are extinct innate materials, plus the matrix method carved above, how can it be so easy to dig? Even with the bombardment of the energy, nothing happens. It's too hard to dig. Finally, someone gave up, and their eyes were on the houses with the doors open, and some of them focused on the taller and grander buildings. 86 people were separated in this way. Some people walked into the house, some people went to the streets, some people went to the places where the red lanterns were hung, some people went to the houses with the word bet, and they suddenly saw a family name on the house. Walked to the shops of Gongfa or refiner and so on. But Yekong felt that at the end of the road, in the white light, there was a sound calling him. It was a call from the depths of the soul, and it was irresistible. He walked step by step. Yekong walked on the road, as if he had forgotten his teammates, forgotten to explore, and forgot everything. He only knew that he went blankly. Not knowing how long he had gone, he found himself back on Earth. At this time, he was no longer a lunatic, he had a supreme spell, he brought the cultivation of Xianxia, and he also brought a magic weapon, a spell, an ancient treasure. He's amazing, he's invincible. Countless beauties came in, yellow skin, white skin, Chinese, foreign, all kinds of beautiful women, let him enjoy. Countless politicians from all countries humbled their knees before him. National policies, and plans are all changed because of him. Countless people have risen because of him. Countless people have fallen into because of him. Money, power, and beauty are all in front of his eyes. He has whatever he wants. Yekong gradually became confused, he enjoyed it, and he felt that this life was what he wanted. But just then, he suddenly thought, is this what I want, what I seek? No, this is not what I want, nor is it what I am after. This is not my way. He took out the flying sword and chopped it off. Beauty, money, wealth, all are one size fits all. The scenery in front of me suddenly changed again. In ignorance, he returned to Nanjun town, Nandu town. Here, the scars on Chen Juniang's face have healed, Ye Harem is alive again and eldest brother Ye Wei, father and son filial piety, happy. Not only that, but also Xiao Hong and Lu Qin, they all gave birth to themselves. What is happiness? This is happiness. The family is in harmony, there is no fighting, nothing unhappy. Yekong no longer practiced, he began to indulge in screenwriting. He became a screenwriter and a director. His plays became more and more famous. Every new drama was born, it was extremely sensation. Play. Yekong is lost again. He is a loved one, and Rong Hua Fugui cannot keep him, but this world's love can make him unable to extricate himself. There was a voice in his heart saying to him, stay, stay. Just stay here and enjoy it all. You can have a happy family, with your parents in the hall, your children and grandchildren around your knees, and joy in heaven. Here, you can realize all your ideals, you can fulfill all your wishes, you can have whatever you want, and you can live whatever you want. Just stay here. Stay here forever. Everything is in your own hands, everything is available. These thoughts instilled into Yekong's brain, but he shook his head firmly. Do not. This is not true. It's all just a dream. I value family, but I do not stay in the dream forever. A man, happiness should be created by his own hands, not weakly build his ideal world in the dream. I'm not so humble. Don't be so happy. When this idea came into being, Yekong felt that those dreams had begun to go away, and those messy ideas were all broken. But this is not over yet. Then, he came to a place of fairy tales, surrounded by white cranes flying, fairy birds, pavilions and pavilions, small bridges and flowing water, undressed fairies, carrying a variety of gourmet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 607. 68 Lost Dreams. Dreams come one after another, one more coveted than the other. In dreams, you can let Yekong get everything. Some dreams are on the top of the immortal world, which can command the immortals of the world. Other dreams are countless exercises, spells, formations, and refining tools. People want to learn, think to study, I want to stay here for a lifetime to improve. There are dreams of constant fighting, constantly defeating opponents, constantly upgrading, all kinds of weapons. This is the life that Yekong wants, hot blood, fierce battle constantly, can't stop. This road seems to never end. There are countless landscapes and countless lives along the way, how wonderful it is here. You can experience different lives and live any life you want. Yekong kept walking on the road without end, just walking like this, reveling in it, never being awake and staying in the dream forever. But these could not keep Yekong. He yelled, "Give me away." He took out the sword again, and slashed for a while, everything was broken. When the dream disappeared, Yekong found that he was standing on the street of the underground city again. The air was so fresh and the darkness was so moving. This is freedom. That's right, the feeling of freedom is the best. Yekong smiled lightly. My pursuit, my dream, and my happiness all depend on my own hands. Money, beauty, power, and dignity, as long as you get it, are true. No matter how real a dream is, that is also a dream. But the dream struck again. This dream is not so beautiful. He saw that he was running in the dark martyrdom. The endless martyrdom was deep. He could hear his tense breathing. There was a three-eyed demon behind him. In pursuit, his power could not fight at all demon. Finally, at the end of the martyrdom, there was no escape, no retreat, he came to a dead end. The three-eyed demon came after him, and looked at Yekong coldly, holding up the blood-red sickle in his hand. A voice in Yekong's heart said, "This is not a dream, this is your future. The ending you are about to get." Then he saw himself again. This time, on the street of a mortal, his spiritual power cyclone has completely collapsed. The heavy side has completely overwhelmed the metallic side. His spiritual power cyclone cannot rotate, and his spiritual power cannot be output. Your body movements cannot be controlled. He has become a mortal. No, he has become a feudal, one who is not as good as mortals. Someone left the leftover meal, and the meal was full of stench. In addition, the gangsters bullied him, kicked him, gave him a punch, and he could not resist. He looked angrily at the gangsters, but he got more fists. Not to mention people, even the dogs came to bully him, bite his wounds, tear the skin, and the pain got into the heart. The voice in my heart was talking again, "These are all true, do you see them? If you leave here, this is your end, very sad, very desolate, stay, just stay here, you can live whatever you want and never worry about it." If you compare the two, a fool will choose. Yekong kept his heart in mind, concentrated all the minds, and silently concentrated all the power in this sword. Then he slammed. He shouted loudly, "Xianxia is to pursue the heavens and the earth, only for the sake of heart. Fallen here will always indulge in prison, life is precious, love is higher, freedom is more precious, I would rather live humbly. Heaven and earth do not want to be proud in their dreams. The journey to immortality is rugged and arduous, with thorns and numerous traps. But I am a good man, I should be stabbed and stumped, and rugged, how can I spend my years in my dreams? Even if the road is difficult, I will never turn back, striding before, one day, when we reached the other side, how could we stay in this ridiculous dream?" This sword waved, cut all dreams, cut all evil thoughts. Suddenly, in the void, a woman's voice came and yelled, "Give me away if you don't want to stay. This is the realm of the Demon King, be careful I take your life." As soon as this remark came out, Yekong just felt a glance in front of his eyes. When he looked up again, he saw that the night was confused and the jungle was undulating, and he had already exited the cave. But it was only him who quit, how could he leave, and there were his teammates below, as well as lovers such as Lianrulan, Cao Junfan and other friends. At this moment, they are obsessed with dreams and must go down to rescue them. So Yekong flew down again. The small town is still that small town, but let him search everywhere in the city, calling loudly, he can't see a figure. Obviously, all the people have disappeared, disappearing with their dreams. If you are, where are you? Xian, come out for me. Cao Junfan, Zhongwulan, you bastards, what's so good about dreaming, come out soon. But no matter how he shouted, no one answered. Yekong cursed again and again, "You thief, you are sacred in the end, your mother-in-law gave me out, if you don't return my people to me, I will scold you. My grass mud horse, my grass mud mother, I greet your family women, I will be your 18th generation ancestor." Yekong used his tricks as a hooligan, but the effect was not obvious. The female enchantress didn't say a word, let him insult him, just don't speak, which could kill Yekong suddenly. How to do? Finally, Yekong thought of another trick. Don't you answer? Aren't you good? Well, I will destroy your small town and see how you can keep it. If other people are really embarrassed, but Yekong has a solution, right? Ujin, right? General magic weapon is useless, but I have a fairy sword. I don't believe it, and Xianxia cannot dig you up. Not to mention, these congenital materials are indeed hard, especially those runes that are still engraved on them, and the fairy sword has been rebounded on it. However, between the gaps of each floor tile, the fairy sword can still be inserted, and when you pry hard, one piece is dug out. Hey, I can't think of so many amethysts. It's so cool. Do nt mention a purple jade fierce water sword? A city's purple jade is 100 or 1,000. What? Someone couldn't help the digging of Yekong, and finally the woman's voice rang again, hey, don't dig. Say you. If you don't stop, I will take your life. Yekong haha laughed, did you just show me my future? Didn't you say that it was my ending? If that is true, how could I be killed by you? Even if I die, I should be their three-eyed demon hands. After Yekong finished speaking, he continued to dig. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 608. Do me a favor. Yekong dug many pieces again, and the woman's voice sounded again, haha, do you think you really dug purple jade? That's ridiculous. You might as well take out the dug purple jade floor tiles to see. Yekong froze, yeah, this place is all fantasy, how can things be taken seriously? Take out a floor tile that has just been dug out of the storage ring, and see the mysterious rune culture above to make a wisp of smoke. Instantly, that purple jade becomes a very ordinary brick. Now you believe it, haha. The woman's voice laughed. Yekong froze again, and said in his heart, there are so many purple jade in this world, 80% is true and false, alas, it seems empty happy. But then, Yekong thought again, if these floor tiles are really insignificant, why can't this woman jump out and let herself dig? Thinking of this, Yekong laughed, demon girl, you must be too clever. When I was playing fairy trick and deception on Hanshung Street, you still wore open crotch pants. If this floor tile is not a natural material, why do you appear? The woman froze, then sighed quietly, and said, don't hide your friends, in fact, the Demon King itself is a puppet. Well, Yekong also read it from ancient books. This is also a kind of ancient beast. It doesn't record what it looks like in the ancient books. It only says that its attack power is not strong, but it has the ability to create fantasy. Yekong immediately understood, no wonder the fantasy here is so real, even if the masters of the array will be fooled, dare to be a master in the master. The demon went on to say, this city is the body of the Demon King. One of them is my scale organ. If you continue to dig, I will be hurt, so this will come out to stop it. That's better. You set up this magic array and laid a permanent cage, which is not harmful. Don't hide that you just killed a Hong Huang ancient beast male and female, and don't mind killing one more today. The demon angered, why am I harming people? I asked you to come in? Did I seduce you to come in? I put down a few prohibitions, just because I was afraid of people entering by mistake. Who knows, or you will be broken. Besides this illusion, it's for those who are frustrated, the purpose is to let them have fun in it, not to trap people. Just like you, am I trapped you? Yekong thought about it too. People didn't entice themselves to come in. If it was harmful to others, it would not be located under the dirty mud swamp, plus 2 layers of magical arrays. All right, Yekong said, you let my friends and subordinates go, and I take them away. Everyone does not owe each other. What do you think? The demon replied, I can get them out of their dreams for a while, and you can take them away. However, for those who don't want to leave, you must not use force. They want to stay, let them stay. Yekong nodded. Of course, but I also look at people. If they are important people, I will take them away no matter what. I respect their wishes for others. Okay, the woman's voice was behind Yekong this time. Yekong looked back and saw that Ting Ting had stood behind a beautiful woman. The woman was slender and wore a long green dress sprinkled with fine golden dots. In the Zikangnan mixed Yuan ancestor, Yekong, met his predecessors. Yekong made a present. The Banshee has entered the metamorphosis period and can be transformed into a human figure. The age must be not small, and the predecessors do not suffer. The woman didn't laugh and didn't answer, but just waved, follow me and let them go. Yekong followed the woman and walked on the streets of the small city. The direction of walking was exactly where the white light could not see the situation. Following the woman, Yekong looked at the shops on both sides of the street from left to right, and found that many shops had plagues on them that read craftsmanship, gongfa, supernatural power, or mantra. When Yekong's heart moved, he thought that he had seen a lot of cultivation exercises in his dream. The Demon King had lived so long. He must have collected a lot of exercises. Why didn't he ask her for one or two? Yekong said, Senior, I have seen a lot of magical exercises in your dreams just now, and now I urgently need a method to absorb metallic Reiki and a method to enhance myself to release higher order flames. I do not know, can I borrow it? The woman sneered, humans are so greedy, it's just a pity that I don't. Yekong thought she was not willing to give it, and hurriedly said, the predecessor is the nature of human beings, and is an inherently good character. Human beings will explore more than one. How can it be described as insatiable? Besides, I do not take your things for nothing. If there is any need, there are some spiritual stones, magical instruments, and natural treasures. There are fair exchanges. What do seniors say? The woman was annoyed, if I had so many exercises, why would you be forced to let them go? I would have killed you already. Oh, that's the case. Yekong suddenly realized, dare to love those exercises are false, it is easy to believe in the dream, and in fact nothing. I just said that I wasn't a liar, but still guilty. Disappointed, Yekong sneered softly. That woman is really good, let him ridicule, just don't speak. Yekong also felt bored and didn't even speak. Suddenly, the woman said quietly, Dao is strong in heart and unyielding, presumably he will not be something in the pool, it is likely to rise in the future, so I would like to ask you to help. I have nothing complicated here. Fa, but there are exercises I have developed myself, which are not very useful, but when they are critical, they can work wonders. Yekong was overjoyed and busy, the seniors are polite. It is a great honor to be able to help the seniors. Don't talk about any compensation, talk about that stingy, even if you do it for nothing, I'll be happy next time. Is someone like you generous? You really do it for nothing? The woman was teased by someone's extreme shame this time. She said, it's actually very simple. If you meet someone in the future, just help me with a sentence. Yekong Song took a sigh of relief, thinking how difficult it was. It turned out to be so simple and complicated that he couldn't do it. Senior, please. The woman said, that's a flying bird of great roost. If you see him in the future, just say a word to him. Lingziki, who has swallowed the clouds every day, has been waiting here for 80,000 years. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 609. 61.9 million years waiting. Lingzikiu, the name of the predecessor is very good. Yekong nodded, and scratched his head, but there are still two problems below. First, Fei Tianpeng bird, Senior Ling, although this Fei Tianpeng bird is also a flood beast, but this is not the only one in the world. It should have a name. Where can I go without a name? Ling Ziqiu shook her head and said, we didn't change shape at that time, I don't know what his name was. Ye Kong fainted, no name, no name, it's no use going to the TV station to ask for information. What's so special about it? Ye Kong asked with patience. Ling Ziqiu said angrily, everyone said that he was not transformed at that time. Now he must be transformed into an adult. How can I know what he has and what he looks like? Ye Kong is about to vomit blood. Your ancestor, young lady's temper, I'm not annoyed yet, are you annoyed first? What can you annoy? You are simply unreasonable. Senior, your request is difficult for strong men. Although I often learn from Lei Feng's good example, I also help my grandmother to retrieve the lost kittens and puppies. But you have no name and no characteristics. This is a sea of monsters. Where can I go? Ling Ziqiu replied, I didn't ask you to look for it. I mean, if you run into it in the future, just help me with the sentence. If you don't, you won't have to. Oh, that's it. There was something in Ye Kong Kong who didn't dare to say, no name and no features. I'm afraid that even if I run into it, I wouldn't run into it. Look at it, brother, I won't hit you. But, there is a second question, Ye Kong said again. Why are you having so many questions? You humans are really annoying. Ling Ziqiu was annoyed again. Ye Kong is going to scold someone. I asked if I wanted to help you. Help you find that person earlier, no, that bird. Alas, people and monsters, it seems really difficult to communicate. Well, the second question is, that flying daypen bird, he doesn't know your name. I brought him that sentence, can he understand? Ye Kong himself felt ridiculous, neither knew I do and know the characteristics of the name, so I bring some inexplicable words, oh my god, this is really a foolish thing. Yeah, he doesn't know my name is Ling Ziqiu. Ye Kong fainted, the banshee was really mentally crippled, only to understand it now. However, Ling Ziqiu smiled again. I want to swallow the clouds and mist in the valley every day to absorb the aura. His strong and mighty body every day will be above the valley, and he will fly by in a mighty thunder. Isn't it just a broken bird flying from the sky, so as to use so many adjectives? Ye Kong shook his head and smiled bitterly, it seems that this Ling Ziqiu secretly loves others. Unexpectedly, Ling Ziqiu also said, he flew over the valley every day. At first I thought he was going out to look for food, later, one day I came out of the valley to know that it turned out that he didn't need to go out to look for food. Passing through my valley, I knew that he had me in his heart, and he came to see me on time every day. Ye Kong couldn't help but sigh. It seems that love is not just enjoyment, but even these demons also have rich feelings. He couldn't help but ask, what then? Ling Ziqiu said stupidly, one day later, a three-eyed demon came. The guy was very powerful. Even our old demon king tiger-headed snake-tailed beast was killed by it. All the demon are in chaos. I use the magic array I hid in the air, but my brother, the flying bird, never appeared again. Will not be killed by the demon. No, Ling Ziqiu said excitedly, the three-eyed demons are busy killing the monsters on the ground. There is no time to estimate the sky. The flying daypen bird brother should have escaped, but he never came back. In order for him to come back and look at me again, I have been here for 90,000 years. Just for a glance, they waited for 90,000 years, and this wait, even Ye Kong was shocked. Not to mention, it is this kind of waiting without results. In fact, the most painful is not waiting, but waiting indefinitely. Ye Kong nodded, solemnly said, Senior Ling, I took your business, but I am not sure if I will meet him, but please be assured that I will not forget this. In the future, if I really encounter this kind of deformed bird, I will definitely ask you a question. Thank you, I believe in you. Lingzhiqiu smiled, and her eyes were filled with tears. Then she took out a jade greeting card and handed it to Yekong. I wanted to teach you the layout of the illusion, but this is our natural ability, and I will not teach you. This is a little bit I have figured out over the years' experience. I call it the spiritual power flower shadow. You can use spiritual power to create a phantom. Even if the immortals of the upper world come, it is difficult to distinguish between true and false. It will be given to you, and it will definitely help you. Thank you, Senior. Yekong solemnly took Yu Chen. Even without this remuneration, he felt that he should help her for the 90,000 years of waiting for the sorceress. Follow Lingzhiqiu to the end of the road. Seen from a distance, it is a vast expanse of white. It was not until long ago that it was discovered that there was a towering ancient tree here. This tree is very strange. It has only trunks and branches, but no leaves. And on the branches are full of white lanterns with large lanterns one after another, very bright. From afar, the white light cluster is just a collection of numerous light balls. Open, Lingzhiqiu took out a trick in his hands and hit it on the trunk. Every time she hits, a figure appears. Cao Junfen, Lan Tianming, Lin Tianwu, and others appeared in turn. They were just awakened from their dreams, but they quickly understood what was happening. When they saw Yekong and the woman, they also guessed that it was Yekong who had rescued them. They hurried over and wanted to talk to Yekong, but Lingzhiqiu said, everyone who wakes up from the dream of the linden tree has a great chance to feel it. When it's a breakthrough, I think you can quickly experience what you just saw. Dream it. Several people sat down cross-legged quickly and realized the life in a dream, the scenes of life and death, fighting, love and hate, as if in a short period of time, they had lived a few different lives, so meditating at this moment, indeed the effect is extraordinary. Then Lian Ruolan, Huang Zixuan, Wang Tingxi, and others all appeared. According to Lingzhiqiu's orders, they also quickly sat down and began to meditate, realizing the life in a dream. However, there are also differences. For example, the real person of Kixingzong Chenyu and more than a dozen others said to Lingzhiqiu, seniors, we don't need to meditate or improve the realm. We just want to stay here and not leave, this is our paradise. Our happiness will never be regretful even if we stay in our dreams. Yekong persuaded them, but they were already obsessed with dreams, unwilling to be sober. Persuasion was useless. Yekong had no choice but to let them stay in accordance with the agreement with Lingzhiqiu in advance. Yekong originally thought that their life was over, but in the future, they did not expect that some of them would really have some feelings in the end and they became immortals. Of course, that's the last word, not to mention at the moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 610. 611 Spiritualization. After everyone meditated, Yekong bid farewell to Lingzhiqiu and walked out of the dream town. In order to prevent anyone from entering by mistake, after Yekong left, he set up a simple matrix method to block the opening of the hole, put water on the fire and water gourd, and filled the excavated soil back. It didn't look strange before leaving. Yekong's move is not only to prevent people from entering by mistake, but also to be afraid of disturbing Lingzhiqiu, but Lingzhiqiu is very indifferent. If other people or monsters come, she can naturally trap each other with dreams. After all, a monk as firm as Yekongzi is not many. The crowd then continued to search north, wounded, plus a dozen or so remaining in the town, and the remaining monks were 72. Although everyone didn't gain anything on this trip, the feelings brought about by waking up from a big dream can't be bought by Lingxi, and most of them have broken through one layer in the next few days. And those monks who have built a great foundation have benefited a lot, and their knowledge has been greatly improved. I believe it will also be of great help to them in the future. However, Yekong did not improve. First, his dream time was too short, and he didn't appreciate much of Huahua's life at all. The second is that in the dream, he is also true to his heart. His thoughts do not follow the dream completely, so he has the smallest comprehension. But he has no regrets. He has made frequent breaks recently, which is not a good thing. But after this calamity, Deoxin's heart was more firm. Deoxin is a kind of illusory thing. I do not know where it is and I do not know what it is useful for. Many monks can't understand Deoxin when they reach the Yuan dynasty. However, I have to say that monks who realize Deoxin often advance their realm faster than others, and their understanding of heaven and the law will play a greater role in the cultivation after the ascension of the immortal realm. Those are still far away from Yekong. At present, the biggest gain in the dream town is that piece of jade Cambodia. Along the way to the north, he has begun to practice the spiritual shadowing Dafa recorded on jade. There are 3 levels of this magical power. The first layer is the formation of spiritual power. The repair of this layer can create a figure exactly like yourself, and it is difficult to distinguish between authenticity and falsehood. But unfortunately, that image is completely an image and cannot be substantiated. It can be used to confuse the enemy, but it cannot be used for combat. On the second level, spiritual power condenses. After cultivation at this level, the created figure can be materialized. Both visual and tactile are the same as real people and can also be used for combat. However, the strength is very small, it must be equipped with a magic weapon, and it has a short time. If it is repaired to the 3rd level of spiritual power copy, it is terrible. It is equivalent to an extra puppet that looks like you, has the same strength, and is the same as you. The most powerful is the magic weapon you have. He also owns it, which is equal to copy you all. Fighting with people after repairing is equivalent to adding an assistant out of thin air. This is to double the strength of a monk, so it is not possible to repair. Some people say that this is not the same as being out of avatar. In fact, it is different. No matter how powerful this magical shadow is, it is just a phantom, or hey, he has no thoughts, and lives completely under the control of his master. If the master does not control, he is just like a muddy child, which can live freely. Another point is that in the avatar outside, between the master and the avatar, no one is dead, just live one. But in the magical shadow, the master cannot die. As soon as the master dies, everything is over and the shadow will disappear. There is one more thing to say. When Yekong left the dream town thousands of miles, he suddenly discovered that the dozens of floor tiles in his storage ring were still purple jade, and that floor tile that Lingziqiu had turned into ordinary stone at that time, also changed back to purple jade. Yekong could not help but smile bitterly, he was fooled. The so-called true to false is true and false at that time. I suspected that Lingziqiu turned ordinary stones into purple jade, but she did not expect that she turned purple jade into ordinary stones. It seems that women and even banshees are the same and will lie. Of course, Yekong could not go back to dig again. Even if he went back, he was embarrassed to dig her baby with Lingziqiu. However, Yekong was also satisfied. The round lid of the purple jade was enough for him to build a lot of flying swords. There were dozens of floor tiles, which was almost enough. Someone keeps breaking, everyone stops and stops. On that day, Huang Zixuan also broke through, and Yekong felt it was time to talk to her. Congratulations. Congratulations to Cucumber's sister who has also entered the mid-building period. Huang Zixuan was originally on the 3rd floor of the building base, but now it is on the 4th floor of the building base. Cao Junfan came again and said, "Why don't you congratulate me? Look at the 8th floor of the foundation. Are you very jealous? Go away." Yekong kicked him, and added, "Look for your beautiful Yun Xiaozong's eyebrows. Cao Junfan and Yun Xiaozong are very close. Drive away Cao Junfan." Huang Zixuan smiled and said, you can't be polite to Cao Junfen, because he is your predecessor. Ye Kong shouted, I am still his ancestor on strength. Ye Kong knew that the boy hadn't gone far, and avoided peeping at their conversation, so he said it out loud. Cao Junfen couldn't help but jumped out and said, my ancestors are all babies, go back and tell my grandpa, let him compare your strength with you, and see if you can be my ancestor. Leaves Empty laughed, yes, I just have to tell your grandfather that someone would like to see people dodging shots of men and women fall in love, typical of stealing mad to see his old master or beat you beat me. Cao Junfen dumbfounded and said, I don't want anything to look good, I just pee behind the tree. Ye Kong laughed, wow, you're really BT, it's not enough to peek, do you still do such insignificant things? Cao Junfen finally defeated, you are cruel, hooligan. Shameless. Cao Junfen really left this time. The fresh small winds around him touched it, and there was light water vapor in the dense woods, forming a layer of veil-like white mist, which made the woods somewhat mysterious and romantic. Some people are meditating, some people are breaking through, and others are protecting the law of the same door. No one paid attention to them, but Ye Kong was afraid of being disturbed, so he threw out the flying carpet and said, go, take you to see my brother. Oh, Huang Zixuan stepped onto the flying carpet, but scolded someone for shamelessly. What reason for making up shit? There is no one in this North Kang, how can you have a brother here? Ye Kong took Huang Zixuan and drove a flying carpet over the dense woods. Because of all the warnings, they generally did not fly. Even if they fly, the altitude is very low. This kind of flying while rubbing the tree is also very exciting, especially from time to time, there will be towering giant trees, which penetrate into the branches of the giant trees to get out, giving Ye Kong a sense of seeing Avatar on the earth. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 611. June 12. Misunderstanding. However, Huang Zixuan had not seen Avatar, nor was there any excitement about someone driving a flying carpet through the tree branches. She was sitting on the flying carpet, but she was in a dilemma. Show me his brother? Couldn't. Huang Zixuan had been with someone for a long time, and he was used to the talk in someone's mouth. Then I thought, could he show me that thing? Oops, what should I do? So ashamed, so scary. The last time he fought with Xiaofeng Wolf King, he broke his pants, and he had seen it faintly, but if he put it in front of me, I dare not look at it. Ye Kong quickly hurried the wind in his ears, the tree branches flickered in front of him, the flying carpet flickered high and low, swung left and right, and the same speed as the drag racing. Zixuan, isn't it exciting? Ye Kong asked back, but saw Huang Zixuan's face, turned back in doubt, and let the flying carpet hover above the woods. What's wrong? Why is your face so red? Ye Kong asked. Huang Zixuan thought more and more that someone was about to end her young girl's career, panic in her heart, afraid to look at Ye Kong's face, and whispered, it's not you. Me, Ye Kong suddenly realized and laughed, oh, this kind of high-speed movement is like this. The first time you make such a high-speed flight, it will be very tense and the blood circulation will speed up, but you seem to after that, could you be motion sick? Huang Zixuan is going to faint. What a mess. Load. You must be pretending. Let me pick it out. Brother Heza, in fact, you know Zungsuan's affection for you, but you can't say such frivolous words directly to me, even if, Sister Wu Yi hasn't been with you for a long time, you can also euphemistically say that you directly to me saying that kind of thing made me feel like a frivolous woman, waiting for you to play around, Huang Zixuan finished, tears falling down. What, Ye Kong's eyes blinked, blinking for a while, but he didn't understand what Huang Zixuan said. A bit messy, let's be clear, Ye Kong quickly said, did you say something frivolous? What day did I say that? To you or to Cao Junfan? Don't pretend, just what you just said, Huang Zixuan shouted, annoyed at seeing someone so dishonest. I just said something. Yekong was also annoyed. Today I was so depressed that I was in a very good mood. Why did I just say something frivolous? Although Yekong is vulgar, he speaks with care about his subjects, and he feels very unhappy. He had a bad temper and would not have been awarded the title of Plague God. When he was in Kangnan, Xiao Hong and Lu Qin, including his old mother Chen Juniang, were a little afraid of his hair, and those brothers were even more afraid of him. So Yekong was annoyed. Huang Zixuan is even more annoyed. Are you right? I'm not bothered you first. You said let me see your brother. If in normal times, Huang Zixuan couldn't say such a thing. What's wrong? Let me see my twin brother. What's wrong? How do I say light words? Yekong hadn't understood yet. Huang Zixuan froze. Have you ever heard of calling that thing a brother, and never heard of it as a twin brother? Could you have misunderstood it yourself? Does he really have a brother in Kangbei? Impossible. Huang Zixuan said, then you take me to see. Yekong originally practiced the spiritual power film to the first level, and wanted to put an identical shadow to make Huang Zixuan happy, but he didn't expect to make this one out, and he was not good-natured. Watch again during the battle. Yekong turned around and stood at the front of the flying carpet with his back to Huang Zixuan, and shouted in depression, go back. Huang Zixuan stumbled again. Could it be that you want to get over it? Look at the fight. I have never heard anyone fight with that thing. This idea is too evil. On the way back, Yekong's heart was also depressed. You said that you had an opinion on me recently, you said it plainly. Don't blame me. I said that taking you to see my brother is frivolous. Why should I be light? No. She wouldn't expect to go over there. Yekong was originally a rogue. At this moment, he immediately wanted to understand the problem. The flying carpet stopped for a moment. Yekong suddenly turned his head and asked, you? Unexpectedly Huang Zixuan also spoke at this moment, you? The two people who were just arguing, both laughed in unison. Yekong waved his hand, you say it first. Huang Zixuan bowed her head and asked with a mosquito-like voice, the brother you said means. Huang Zixuan asked half, and couldn't go on. After all, she was still a big girl, so why bother talking about these? Yekong understood the truth of the matter, and naturally he was not angry. Haha laughed, look. I saw Yekong's magic trick in his hands, his body suddenly covered with a layer of phantom, then Yekong moved away to the side for 2 steps, and left the same place where he stayed. How about can you tell the truth? Yekong asked. Huang Zixuan couldn't help laughing. Of course, what he said was true. Wow, our cucumber crush is really smart, but it's a bit hooligan. Yekong's real body walked over with a smile. Huang Zixuan couldn't stand in shame. This misunderstanding was really big, she was ashamed. Better dig a hole and bury yourself. The girl's shyness is so touching, her face is like a red apple, and she can see the fluff illuminated by the sun, and her pair of dodgy and shameful eyes. What do you think is my brother? Don't tell you. I came here eagerly today, but you were poured cold water. How do you say you compensate me? My apologies. Not enough. Giggle, you're bad, oh, don't touch it. In the conversation, Yekong had already put down the crushed cucumber crush. At this moment, the sun was shining, the breeze was light, and the continuous forest was undulating like a wave. On the low forest, hovering a large flying carpet quietly, on the flying carpet. This time Huang Zixuan was completely let go, because when she knew that Yekong had misunderstood, what she thought was, when Yekong actively provoked the golden-winged ants that day, the woman who called her and the woman who was like a spring breeze. Her eyes, as if to say, I trust him like this, as he is my deity, will never waver. He is arrogant, he is bold, he does anything out of the ordinary, it is the same, trust. I can do that, I can do it, and I want to be his woman. Huang Zixuan let go completely and let it do nothing, but only made a small request: take away your shadow, also, don't let the flying carpet go to the shade of the ancient tree in front of the broad daylight.